And it strikes me in each of the testimony that we've received tonight about each of the individual amendments, there's a theme that comes through. One is deep empathy and concern and care for the people you represent, the humble people who make us cry when we think about the impacts of these policies that are being passed here in DC that are terrible for our children, for our families, for our veterans. But there's also another theme that came through, I think, especially as we heard, our veteran on the panel speak about patriotism. And, we heard Oshesky speak about the Constitution and patriotism. And down to, Representative Raskin, there is a sense that what they are doing is un-American. It is against the principles for which we stand as a country, that corruption should not be the coin of the land. And Representative Vindman, I think you said it so eloquently, that as a veteran, how does all of this resonate, not just with you, but with your fellow veterans and military that you know of, right? Is it a sense of what is right and this oath to the Constitution rather than to a man?
Well, what I see is today or I guess yesterday on Veterans Day, that as we hold this debate, that this is a betrayal of those values and what veterans served in this country for, and some that made the ultimate sacrifice to basically watch the Congress and the Senate self-enrich, to watch this president and this administration self-enrich themselves. It is un-American, it's unacceptable, and I will tell you that the veterans that I know, that I interact with, they see that plain as day, and the American people see that. And look, we may not be satisfied today or in the next few days, but we have seen that the American people have already said and made very clear that chaos and cruelty and, frankly, corruption are not popular policies.
But this is the history of our America. Our America has always been about struggle to make that more perfect union, and working in that struggle for that more perfect union is never about one vote, and it's never about one moment, but it is about continuing to push and to organize and to raise the issues that you all have. Because we did not eliminate slavery and abolish slavery quickly. It took us years. We did not get women the right to vote for over a century. We didn't give Native Americans the right to vote. The last case was in New Mexico in the 1960s, right? And so this concept of what we are involved in, of working towards a more perfect union, is not something that we give up on in one vote. And this vote that we're going to be taking tonight is incredibly sad and worrisome about who we are as a nation, when we're going to have probably 9 votes against the amendment that when we move it, right? But we're going to have 9 votes against the amendments to protect those who are hungry. We're going to have 9 votes against the amendments to protect the Affordable Care Act and to protect Medicare and Medicaid and everything else. But that's not the end of our struggle, right? And I think that that's something that you've all done. I am going to yield to my ranking member.
No, I appreciate that, because I wanted, something's been on my mind here, and I wanted to be able to say it before all of our time is out. Madam Chair, first I want to thank you for being here for most of the 6 hours that this has gone on. I appreciate it. We have our differences, but I appreciate you being here. But I just want to note that for most of the 6 hours that we've been here, not a single one of your members could be bothered to sit in this room and listen and debate us. And they've been sitting home for 8 weeks, so you think they'd want to come here and defend this continuing resolution or defend the process or defend the policy that everybody seems to be so proud of. Instead, they spent the entire hearing sitting in your office, I guess just hanging out instead of working. But that's just a continuation of the same old laziness and failure to show up, to show up that we've seen for the last 8 weeks. And I got to tell you, again, I think if we're not listening to each other, if we're not in the same room, even when we're disagreeing with each other, we're not going to find common ground. And it really kind of bugs me, because I think there's so much at stake in what we're doing here today. And again, people are really disappointed that we have not had a formal session. We've not been in session for close to 8 weeks. And again, the issues we're hearing about today are so enormous and so important. But I just wanted to say that for the record, and I thank you for yielding me the time.
Well, thank you. I mean, we could have had the conversation of Representative Scott about this amendment if we would have been here. We could have had the conversation with the 14 members who want to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit subsidy. We could have had the conversation with the people who care about feeding the hungry. And it's not just those who receive the SNAP benefits. It's the grocery stores, it's the farmers, it's the others. And I'll give you some time to address that.
Well, no, I just wanted to say the fact that we're not even considering a single one of these amendments is a metaphor for the idea that there's a trust deficit and that our Republican colleagues have not shown themselves to be reliable legislating partners. We're in a moment right now where we're being asked to come back and we can decide, we can work these things out later. How can we trust that we'll have conversations and work these things out later when literally our first day back, no one is even here? Our first day back, we're not even having serious debate about, well, you know what? This is a good amendment. Let's offer it up. Let's have a vote on it. The fact that all of this was done as a take it or leave it not even you can't even call it a negotiation. You vote for it or you leave it. That's the only option, and we're supposed to accept sick children, choose between sick children and hungry children, and that's supposed to be a choice for us. I refuse to accept that. And the fact that my Republican colleagues are not even here, as Mr. McGovern said, to have a debate. You mean to tell me of all the amendments that were presented, there's not one that the Republicans are open to saying, you know what, there's a good point there. Let's spend some more time on this. It says that you don't want to work with us. That's the takeaway right now. You don't want to work with us. You don't want to feed children. You don't want to talk about health care. You don't want to do any of these things. Tonight, the last 50 some odd days is a metaphor for the environment that we are operating in right now, and the fact that everything was contingent upon a promise of a future conversation when we can't even have a right now conversation tells us everything we want to know about what is happening. And I hope the American people are paying attention to this, because when Democrats were in the majority, the things that we fought for were health care subsidies and feeding people and making sure we took care of people. When Republicans were in the majority, the things that they fought for were permanent tax credits for the wealthiest individuals. And that's just facts. That's not a narration. That's not an opinion. That is just the facts about what was passed under each Congress. The fact that the PACT Act, some of the provisions are being rolled back, while the protections in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act remain the same. The fact that the Republican majority is doing all they can to rebrand that says that you know that it's bad. You know that it's bad. There was nothing beautiful about it. So I thank you all for everything. You know, people are watching, people understand. One of the things about being at home for so many weeks in a row was that I really had a sense to talk to people all over the district, and it is clear that the American people are on the side of healthcare, they're on the side of feeding people, they're on the side of taking care of their neighbors, and nothing that this Congress does in this moment is going to change that.
Thank you very much. And I would also point out that it's about 73% of the American people want us to extend those tax credits, and that includes Republicans and independents as well as Democrats. One last quick question. Representative Raskin, the 8 million and the fact that these 8 senators were specifically singled out, not singled out, they got special treatment, right, by having this retroactive. But this money, that's the floor, because all the senators going forward can seek this kind of payment, correct? So 8 million is just a floor. It's going to go way higher.
Absolutely. And this is a special right and privilege that they have now dealt to the 100 Americans, the Americans who are in the U.S. Senate, against all other 335 or 40 million people in the country, including all other elected officials. So
it's a money spigot that only flows to the senators. That's like a visual of how I see this. There's a special spigot that those 8 get, but the money spigot only goes to the senators in this instance. And with that, I think, unless there's anything else, I'll go ahead and yield back.
Thank you for yielding, Ms. Leisure Fernandez. The panel is dismissed.